Hi, Erin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too,
Brian.
Thanks for joining us today.
I love what you guys are doing. It's so great.
Thanks for supporting us. And you're starting a podcast, I hear.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
That is really cool. It's definitely fun to just get to talk to people and hear their point of view. And, even if nobody else listens, we always say it's really cool that we're going to meet people and have conversations. We've had conversations with people I haven't talked to in 25 years. And if I didn't do this, we probably wouldn't never talk to them again, right? So it's really cool.
Yeah.
People listening is a bonus.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you just got back from Spellers Camp recently.
Yes.
How was that? Tell us about that. Because I always look at those pictures and the videos and I just want to be there. And it looks so amazing.
Yeah, it is. I'm always like, it's magic. And it's one of those things that I feel we've gone for the past year and a half to every single camp that they've had. But as a family, dang it, I hope I don't cry. I'm such a crier. Oh, God. The whole time. But it's so good. Every time I'm like, how was it this impactful for all of us? Because I know the first time we went, we stayed in a cabin that was a shared cabin with another family. And it was I feel like the first time my husband really connected with another dad, because we were there and they were able to cry together and share together. It was really good. So now they're super good friends. And then my daughter, Ilana, she was able to meet with people. And then after the first camp, she was like, you know what? I think I want to learn how to spell with people. It's because she had shared a little, a little bit about wanting to learn about spelling with her brother, and then watching, especially some of the open-ended spellers, and watching how everybody connected was huge. And I know I felt impacted, and it just felt incredible. She was impacted like that. Had that heart to be part of it.
Yeah.
That's proud moment, right? Those are the moments that make me the most proud. A's are great. First place is great, but that's the gold right there.
Yes.
That's gold.
Yeah. And such a powerful, not just for the speller that's there, but the whole family, the fathers, the mothers, the siblings, especially, that just being able to connect with other siblings, but then to have something so amazing come out of it that she then wants to work with other individuals that's amazing.
Can you tell us, for people who don't know, what is a spell camp and spell to communicate?
So Spellers Camp, it's like a regular camp. So you still get to do outdoor stuff, a campfire, but it's primarily for families who have a non-speaker or somebody who's minimally or non-reliably speaking and uses either the letterboard to communicate or the keyboard to communicate. So my son Noah, he's 17, and we've been, working on spelling on the letterboard for a few years. So it's really, and he's not open-ended yet, but to go to this camp and be able to have him experience a regular camp experience. He went on this tree swing that I did not want him to go on. And so when somebody had asked, is Noah going to go on? And I was like, no, but there was never a question. I never even asked him because I saw it and I was scared. And she goes, well, that's kind of a bummer because I think that he might want to at least ask him. And when I did, the whole time I'm thinking, better speak, better. And he gave me this look, this really mad look, and he hit no hard and he took off. And I could feel oh my gosh, I just projected all of that on him. And so another mom came and she goes, I know how you feel. I don't want my son to get on, but he really wants to. So I'm going to let him do it. Everybody's here. He's safe. So I did all my strategies to calm down. And then I asked him again, I apologized for doing that. And it was a clear yes. And it took a lot for him, motor wise, because he has, trouble initiating his body. The praxia really affects him, but he was able to get up there and then to watch him do it and then to watch him watch himself. I'm thank God that I did that and that he got to experience that, which is something he probably wouldn't have had we not gone to the camp. And then just seeing him connect with the other spellers, they don't even have to talk, but you see the way that they're looking at each other, and it's like you can feel them connecting in a deeper way, which is really cool. Really cool.
So they start closed-ended questions, kind of answering questions, basic responses, and then you kind of build from there. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, you start with known answers, things that you know that they're going to spell, so they can build up their motor skills. Because a lot of the people who use this form of communication are impacted by apraxia, which is basically having a hard time getting your body to do what you want it to do when you want it to, to be done. And so starting with the known questions really helps you focus on learning how to coach their body. And every speller's different, as far as regulation and all these things. So there's all these factors that come into play. But once they start getting consistent with the motor accuracy, then they call it up the cognitive. So then you can start asking more questions that have maybe 2 choices, and then maybe questions on things that they probably know, but you didn't necessarily talk about right now. And then it progresses to then open-ended questions. So it's really cool to work with families or see families progress through. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's been really powerful with individuals that I've interacted with seeing the journey, and then hearing their perspective that I'm saying these things verbally, but I don't mean it. And they're typing that out. And it's like you mentioned, like not being able to control the body and all of that. And it's just so impactful to what they're experiencing. And just for all the times we took what they're verbally saying as face value, right? But truly, they're having this kind of internal battle. Do you talk with any of the spellers at Speller Camp about that? Or does anybody get up and speak about it?
Sometimes, like, we'll have part of the camp will include like small group activities, and they're kind of separated on age group, because some of the campers will be younger, some will be adults, and some are somewhere in the middle. And within each group, there'll be different levels of spellers. So we'll do like an activity or like a lesson together where there'll be opportunities to spell. So the ones who are open-ended could usually share a bit more, and they do. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, there's a lot who are open-ended, and they come, and when they share, like, this is the first place, like, I feel like I belong, like, these are my people. And you can see the shift, like, in them, and then you see the shift in the parents, like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's like, let's just live here.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
Let's be around this all the time.
Yes.
That's I had an early experience where an older adult, was sharing through the communication, like, I feel finally heard and it feels great. I've been stuck in my body this whole time, and think about that. And I think she was like 30-ish or something. And to have your body not connect, with your brain and your thoughts, and just being stuck, I feel like that would be really such a sad, difficult experience, that finally getting it out and being able to share it and work through that is really amazing. Tell me, so you mentioned your son Noah, what's kind of his journey been like, his communication, and how did you get involved in this, or what kind of lead you to this path?
He could do a little bit, but wasn't ever consistent with it. And now that I know more about apraxia, I think that probably plays a huge role for him and being consistent with it. And then also like the mode of delivery too. He's definitely one of those people. I don't know if it's like internal mentally, internal physically, or maybe a little bit of both. But when there's something that feels like a demand placed on him, like do this thing, it's like his body resists. Even if it seems like he wants to, it just seems like it makes it a little bit harder for him to do it. And so, like when we did RDI, it was a huge shift, which made a tremendous amount of difference for him. So it was more, I'm inviting you, I'm giving you opportunities without that pressure, that helped to help him be able to participate in a little bit bigger way. And it felt better too. But so we always struggled with communication, and he can say words, but it's not conversational. It's usually food, or that he has to go to the restroom. So when we were working with the consultant doing RDI, she's like, have you ever seen people spelling on a letterboard? And I was like, no. And I just got introduced, and I went down this rabbit hole, just researching and all these things. And there was a video that I think it was called Jordan's Rocky Journey. And the boy wants to go up like a rock wall. And it looks like he does not want to go. He's crying, all these things. But then his mom brings a letterboard out and he basically says something to the effect of, don't pay attention to my body. I want to go up this wall, but I need help. And I watched it with Noah, Craig, but the whole time when he's saying that, he's like looking at me like, Mom. And I'm just like, I have to do it. I have to find a way for us to do this. And then I found Autistically Inclined, Julie Sando, and she had a 9-month course to teach the communication method. So we started there, and then we've just been practicing on and off. And yeah, we're still working because at Apraxia it's tough, but we're making progress.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And you've actually kind of evolved in the process too, right? You've joined in to teach some of the courses, or you're taking a role in the community more, right?
Yeah. And so I haven't done training to be a communication partner for other people. I'm starting a little bit of training, so hopefully I can eventually do that. But I do. So when I took the 9-month course, I'll back up just a little bit. We're there to learn communication, but we would meet like twice a month and have like group meetings where we can ask questions. We would share videos, and in there connecting with the other parents reminded me like how important that connection piece is. And it was so therapeutic. And so I had reached out to Julie and told her I want to do something in the community, but I don't know exactly what. And so then we revamped the course that she did so that it's an ongoing month-to-month kind of subscription thing. And since I'm not trained to teach the communication, she goes, well, you know what? I remember you sharing having an accountability partner or coach could be helpful. And so that's my role. Is every month members can meet with me. We have a call, accountability, whatever goals feel good for them. Where are they stuck? How to work through that. And then also just parent support. A lot of the accountability calls end up we're crying together, sharing, and just having that space. Because I think as a parent in our community, we don't always give ourselves that.
I'm sure that's so meaningful and powerful to the families that you connect with, and helpful for
and
you.
For me,
yeah.
I'm like, wait, is this for them?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what the lessons kind of look like at first? And so you got to have a partner, right? And you have the physical laminated board with all the letters on it. Some are QWERTY and some are not. Is that correct? Is it a keyboard QWERTY, or is it like ABCD? Is it in order?
It varies.
It varies, right, by person. Yeah.
And QWERTY is like how a keyboard would be set up.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
How with UWE or versus like alphabetical order. Yeah. I didn't know what that was for a long time either.
Because it says.
I'll be honest, I didn't know for a long time.
QWERTY. Yeah.
Oh, QWERTY.
So it says right there.
Wow.
QWERTY.
So people go from the ABC format to then typing on the keyboard. Oh.
Yeah. And I think people who haven't experienced it think like, oh gosh, it's going to be a really big learning curve. But it doesn't seem to be for the most part.
Right. And that's why I'm so shocked because, the person I'm thinking of that I knew transitioned from the boards to the keyboard so that then it could translate through the iPad or the tablet. It could voice it for you. That's amazing.
Yeah. So you have these lessons, and the first time I watched it many years ago, the partner is moving the board so that the learner has fingers going on the correct answer. And I was like, very skeptical, very skeptical. And then I had a chance to do it, and I clearly was holding the board and not moving it, and the learner was clearly moving their finger and spelling these really elaborate, I think they had been doing a few years at this point, but really elaborate responses and answers that were just beyond what most people gave them credit for, cognitively wise. Like, just looking at them, a lot of people, right? We greatly shout out from the rooftops that 100% competence is something we always share and are working with parents because
presuming
that's what I mean. But so what do the lessons look like? So you have the paper, it's laminated most of the time, and you're asking them questions, and they're responding by pointing to spelling the word. Is that kind of been your experience?
Yeah. So like a typical lesson would be maybe finding a paragraph of information. And it could be on any topic of interest or anything you want it to be. So reading a paragraph out loud, if somebody's a newer speller, I might pick out keywords and as I'm reading, spell it. So like, oh my gosh, I'm going blank, but like we're going to cook we're going to talk about making spaghetti, SPAGHETTI. And then we just keep reading, like almost like it's part of it and just go. You can write it down. You don't have to. And then the questions start out by, okay, let's spell spaghetti. And then, so let's spell this word, especially in the beginning, just to help them build the accuracy.
I don't know if I'd be able to spell spaghetti. You picked a hard one.
I know, now that I'm thinking about it. Wait.
Yeah. And it's amazing because a lot of the spellers who are just starting out, not everybody, but those who have a little more motor control, like people think that you just start with like 3-letter words. Like, no, a lot of these kids are starting older and they've had so much exposure to language. So they know how to spell or pretty darn close to the word.
Asking a 17-year-old to spell cat is going to make them feel like poop. It's like asking you. It's very demoralizing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So starts there. And then when you see some motor accuracy or you want to just give a little challenge, then you can do something with 2 options. Like, okay, so do you think we're going to use marinara sauce or Alfredo if we're making spaghetti and meatballs or something? And not something so, it doesn't have to be so obviously different that you're like, I don't think that you would know. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, go from there and then you build up. So are going to cook a pound of spaghetti. How many ounces is that? And that's something that we're assuming that they could know and giving them an opportunity to kind of show that. But it's also open-ended. We know what the answer is, but we haven't given them the answer for it to just be regurgitation. It's something that they would have prior knowledge about. Because we don't want them to just regurgitate. We want to know what they're thinking, what ideas, what perspectives they have. And then evolving to, well, we had spaghetti. We're talking about spaghetti, but what about tomorrow? What should we eat tomorrow? And then it's open or whatever. And then it can vary too, like as far as what kind of board they use. Like, I think you're talking about the laminate board, or else there's like a stencil and then people can progress to the keyboard. So it just kind of depends on what kind of sensory feedback they need, how the vision is, all these small little nuances kind of come into play. Yeah.
And your partner too, right? What their experience is, right? You as a mom, as a partner for your son.
Yeah.
Right? I think you got to grow together. It's a learning curve for everyone.
Yeah. Right? It totally is. And even I noticed one of the biggest factors that I think affects my son's ability, like to be accurate and to get his body to get to the letters more quickly and accurately, is whatever kind of energy I'm bringing into the spelling session. Like if I come in and I'm thinking, oh, we're spelling 3 or, however many things, and like, no, we're doing this. And like that grip of control, then it's tough. Then he has a hard time doing it. But if I come in like, you know what? We're just going to practice. I mean, we have our goal because he does good when he sets goals. He can usually achieve it. But you know what? If we don't get there, it's fine. But let's just have fun. Let's just do this. Then it's like we're flowing and things are so much better. But that energy that I bring is huge.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure that's a great, learning aspect is probably part of the program. Your own physiological response and your own energy is going to be, important to regulate so you can regulate. Yeah.
How often are you guys practicing? Every day for a few minutes or when you can, or is it vary based on schedule and timing and different for everybody? Your moods, energy, sickness, I guess all those variables, right, add into it.
Oh, yeah, all of them. And we I'll be honest, like we'll have times where we don't spell for a couple months because it seems schedule's crazy or there's a lot going on. And then times when we're practicing almost every day, not all day, but like at least a few minutes or a session. So it kind of ebbs and flows, but we try to get in as much as we can. And if not spelling specifically, at least offering choices on a whiteboard. So that way he's still practicing the motor skills. He's still able to, share his voice in some capacity.
What would you say to those parents who are like, my kid doesn't know how to spell. How would they do that? Or they don't know that, or how they can't write, and you want them to type out responses. Have you heard that before? And I guess what would your response be?
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. I think a lot of people kind of see it and feel like that at first. I would say if you can actually be like, not just watch a video of it, but be there when somebody's spelling so you could feel it, can maybe help you be open to it. Mm-hmm. And then also, you don't know unless you try. You don't know. And there's so many times that, I don't know, I think our kids can surprise us. And maybe even talking to other people who are in the spelling world can be helpful, because I think a lot of parents start out feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know, because our kids have hard bodies, or they're not, doing X, Y, and Z yet. They haven't seen it. But to give them that opportunity, I think is huge. Just, yeah. And I think sharing the intention with our kids. I know for me, it makes a big difference. Like, I was watching these people spell. Let's watch it together and see what kind of response your child has. Like, I know that was huge because I was kind of open to it. Like, okay, maybe, sure, I'm a little skeptical, but I've tried everything else. So let me try one more thing. But then watching Noah watch that boy and the way he would look at me, I'm like, yes, I have to try. Yeah. Even if I feel like I have to.
So Noah was open to trying it too. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You have to, if they're a part of it, that decision, they're going to be much more invested in, I think, willing to try.
Yeah.
Versus, this is what we're doing next.
Yeah.
Not again, Mom, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important for people to know too, like, not everybody just sits down for 30 minutes and spells all their hopes and dreams the first time. Like, I don't know, like, we've been working for a long time. And so when he makes like a clear choice or shares or, an answer where I'm not prompting him most of the time, it feels like a huge win. And I see that competence and that pride in him. And so even if we never got to the open communication, for me, that piece is worth continuing working towards it, because I want him to feel competent and at least heard in some capacity.
Did you have any not conflicts, but from doing RDI and then, which is very low prompting, to this method, which is very fast paced, kind of using momentum and lots of verbal prompting? I understand why they do it, but it was a little bit conflicting for me. I don't know. What was your experience like with that?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Because I went we did almost 7 years of ABA, a lot of discrete, all that. Yeah. And then we okay, this is not working. So we went to RDI, which is completely different. Yeah. And so then in the beginning, when she was saying, okay, maybe block a space off and you're going to do all these prompts. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I said that to her, and I said, I don't want him to feel trapped. And she goes, it depends on how you're perceiving it. We're not trying to trap him and control him. He has a body that wants to move, and if it sees the space, it wants to take up the space. And so this is minimizing that to help his body be easier to get himself to the letterboard, because I'm sure that he wants the communication. He wants his voice heard. And so I was like, okay, I can start trying to shift my perspective. And so it was still a little challenging for me. But when I shared that with Noah, then he came to the space to sit down without me having to come on and pull. And I was like, oh gosh. And he's also a student who doesn't sit for long periods of time, if at all. But he would sit. We worked with Catherine, and he would sit. He would stand up, but he would stay there, and you could see him working to keep his body there. So that was huge. Yeah.
It's almost like that psychology principle of you have 1,000 ice cream flavors to choose from. It will take all day and you'll regret it and try to change your mind. Yeah. But if you have 2, you're going to pick one and feel really happy about it because you like one and probably don't like the other. So I'm kind of relating it to that, right? This space is your space, so you're going to feel good and comfortable and secure in it versus having an open space in your body is over and
I see.
I know it's a stretch. It's all right.
No, but I see what you're saying for sure. I know
Erin.
what you mean.
Right. Catherine does it.
I see it now. I see it. I needed it. Yeah. Okay. That's
good. Yeah. But as far as like the prompting on the boards, even that, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going back a little bit. And so again, she talked about shifting the perspective to, you're not trying to tell him in like a demanding kind of way. Think about it as coaching the body. And so I was like, okay. And so then I would tell him, it's not like I'm trying to tell you. Think about telling your body like, okay, I'm going to use my shoulder like as a hinge to push it forward to get my arm to the board. And for me, always the explaining to Noah makes a huge difference, because then he understands why we're doing what we're doing. And then I see him making an effort. It might not look exactly how I want to, like an end goal, but I see effort made.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Like you're talking about the intention before, you're sharing your intention with him. And then it's more of an invitation, like in RDI, to respond. You're inviting him with encouragement, and then how he responds. It's not black and white. It's not right or wrong. And that's where like overly prompting would be like, well, you need to do it this way, and you need to, but you're saying it's kind of, well, how he responds is just part of the dynamic. And that's kind of how I see it. Intention, invitation, and then.
Yeah. And you're sharing the why, sharing the value. Hey, there's value in this that I see. And I would think we could do this together versus this is what we're doing, right? Share the why, not the what is what I should copyright that. Yeah. It's probably already.
Yeah.
There,
that's good.
But I say like putting the, a very distractible person, you put the blinders on, they get less distracted. Here.
I mean, if I sit in a cubicle, even though I don't want to,
you're still distracted. No. Yes, you are.
I know that I like in college, I would have to sit myself in like those cubicles in the library to like get anything done, because I mean, anything could distract me, right?
And it does.
And it does. So I could live but I don't like to live in a cubicle. So then but I know it's good for me. So that invitation it's like he knows it's good. He knows it's going to help him. Yeah. But you're also giving him the freedom to stand up, like you said. And it's not like, he has that freedom, and you're also providing an understanding of what his body needs and what he needs, where I think in some other modalities that you mentioned might not, that might be the contrast with like what you're asking of, and like feeling like going back. You're providing understanding and compassion and flexibility within that framework.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, that's important.
So one of the most powerful, I would say, interactions I've had is I was with a client, and I with Julie was working with, and I worked with Julie a little bit, and she's awesome. Check her out, Julie Sanda. She's doing some amazing stuff. And they had a therapist that was working with this client, and they were at such a higher level that the therapist, and this is where it got crazy, the therapist was thinking of a question, didn't say anything, and the client responded to her question in her head. Like, what? How? Like, and she was freaking out, and she like wrote down a question. He didn't see it. She hid it, and then she thought about it, and he wrote the response to the question, and it's on video. It is mind blowing. Have you seen anything like this? How is this possible? It's like you talked a little bit at the beginning of the energy, but it is so unbelievable. I was like, what? People are not going to believe this is happening. And it was real. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah. I haven't experienced it like that myself, but I've heard people who have, and you talk about neural coupling. Have you heard of that?
Ooh, tell us what that is.
Oh gosh, I hope I can describe it right. But basically, like whatever, and they say that it can be strong between like parents and kids or people who are related or close.
Twins,
but
right? Or
you can think, yeah. But kind of like when you go into a room and you can feel people's energy, but it's like the next level of feeling that energy. And there's theories like that people can neural couple, which almost kind of like communicate. I don't know if you would call it telepathically, but basically, yeah. And there's people in the community that I've talked to, they're like, no, I mean, I know it sounds kind of out there, but I think that a lot of our kids have those kind of abilities. Like they're just like when you take away a sense, the other ones are heightened. Mm-hmm. Kind of describing it something similar to that. Yeah, but neurocoupling, very, very interesting topic. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to delve into that.
Neurocoupling, yeah, we should
write it down.
Find somebody who can tell us more about that, because it's impressive. Definitely, because the sensory impact of a lot of our people are different, right? They experience the world differently. Some sounds may be different, louder or more irritating than other in sights, and so understanding, not knowing that perspective, but trying to understand their cues and just try to support them through that. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's all energy. Right? Mm-hmm. This is kind of a path we've been exploring lately of everything is energy and shifting that energy. And like you said, there is definitely energy in everything we do. You can meet somebody new and like their energy or something's a bit off. So I totally believe that. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the individuals that we've worked with, I do believe that the heightened energy sense of like reading people, especially, and I hear that from a lot of the parents of kids that I've worked with, adults that I've worked with. It's just like they sense the energy of and they know right away if that's going to be a good person or bad. And it usually turns out to be pretty spot on. And I think you can get that energetic connection too if you kind of quiet down and that's what I loved about RDI so much, is getting in that co-regulatory flow. I feel like that really speaks to that versus like, I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to do it. And, I'm going to prompt you through it. And it's more of like,
as nice as that would be.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
Right. And even if it works right away, it's not going to work a long time.
Like, even though they're still doing what we want them to do, but it has a whole different feel.
So that speaks to that energetic connection. You're not, maybe you are, but you're not getting that true energetic connection with that person. Oh, that's a good topic.
What's next? What's next for you and Noah? Where do you see this going?
Well, I'm starting a podcast, which is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. I have always felt like I'm supposed to share a story, but I didn't know like exactly what or how, because I kind of felt like I've done all these things, but nothing's moved the needle all that much. I want to say the biggest thing is probably the RDI and the communication with Autistically Inclined. That those two have helped the most, but he still experiences things like self-injury, still has trouble participating in things as fully as I think that he wants to. So I thought, okay, instead of me standing on the top of the mountain preaching, you should do this and you should do that, because I think there's no one way for anything. I know that from experience. And so more to be like, have conversations about how, like, what we're doing. And this is kind of like how I'm perceiving it and what I'm contributing to it and the kind of response Noah's having and what it feels like, what we're learning from it. Are you experiencing something similar? Do you have other ideas, other perspectives? Let's have a conversation so that together we can figure things out to help each other out. And hopefully in having those conversations that other families feel like, oh, there are other people who have a similar story to me. It might not be exactly the same, but I'm not as alone as I've felt,
I think that's going to be huge for families. And I know that just from knowing you and connecting with you, I think that connection with them is going to be so powerful. The people that you connect with on your podcast, but then all the people that listen and get to be a part of that process of exploring whatever you explore. I just think it's going to be so great. I'm so excited about it.
What's the name? What's the name of the podcast?
Growing Through Autism.
Growing Through Autism. Love it.
Me and Noah, we're both growing through it.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about our daughter had a incident last night, and it felt so in the moment. It went on for a while, and it felt very scary and very isolating and lonely, and like when will this ever end? What is happening, right? Is she going to be okay? And I'm sure there's everybody feels that, but if you're not alone and knowing that not alone, I think that just goes a long way.
Yeah. I mean, and that speaks to, we talk a lot about self-compassion and Kristen Neff's work. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but one of the parts is common humanity. And so it's mindfulness, kindness, and common humanity. And common humanity is just saying, that we realize that if
your child has self-interest behaviors, that's got to be so scary. Why are they hurting themselves?
And hurting others, or the environment that they're, the room that you're in, or whatever it is, and just going through that and feeling so alone and isolated, and then continuing to isolate, but having that common humanity, knowing other people are going through these things, I think is so powerful and connecting. And so you're creating that just by doing your podcast, I believe.
I hope so.
Yes, I think it's going to be amazing. I know it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
thanks.
Sure. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you have shown such tenacity and commitment and
perseverance, grit. I mean,
all the words. With supporting Noah and your family as a whole.
Just a willingness to keep trying. That didn't, we tried to made a commitment, and let's keep moving. There's stuff out there. And not giving up.
Yeah, and I think you've done it with such grace and humility, and you're always authentic. Every time I've interacted with you, just authenticity that just is
Don't make her start crying again.
You don't cry. Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. Because there have been times when I feel like I'm giving up, and
so what do you do in those moments? Yeah, how do you keep moving forward? Is there?
Well, I've learned over time. And it's probably like within the last 5 years that I'm finally feeling like, okay, I think this is a strategy that's going to help me specifically. Mm-hmm. I got to give myself space to feel whatever feelings are coming up, not judge them and not necessarily accept them as truth, but to and so letting whatever it is just kind of pass through. Whatever thoughts come, just let them come and go, flow out, because it usually comes with tears. Yeah. And then after that, then it's almost like then the clarity comes. I can ask myself, I try to ask questions that will serve me. So like, I'm somebody who believes that life definitely happens for you. Every challenge is because there's some kind of opportunity for growth. And before I used to resist any kind of challenge because it's out of my comfort zone. But then I also think that as hard as something is, that's how good it can be on the other side. But the only way I'm going to get to that other side is walking through all that mud. And so I try to remind myself of that. Giving myself space to feel, asking, okay, well, what can I learn from it? What do I know to be true? What can I control? What can I do? Asking myself stuff like that and reminding myself, like, I don't have to fix it. What's the next step? What's the next step that I can take? But it's not always easy, especially in the midst. Like you said, your daughter was having trouble last night. When it's like that, that's the hardest, to be like in it. It's like that reactive response comes, and then you got to catch yourself and just breathe. That's like the number one tool in the moment. Just breathe.
Just realize she's probably going to listen to this and get even mad and have another episode. Just kidding. She's that smart.
No, she's so strong for pushing through, and she did it. She did it.
Yeah, for us to hear today, and for others to hear, and for the person going through it, instead of holding a grudge or reminding them of what they did wrong or having to
reacting to their.
You made it through that. That was a lot. Like that must have been hard, and maybe it was hard for all of us, but you as the individual, going through that moment, you made it through it, right? Like you're saying. And I think that's powerful to say. I think I would benefit from hearing that from someone, just in any, wow, you know.
Reminding that they're trying to figure it out. She's 9, Noah's 17. He's with a lot of challenges. He's trying to figure it out. And for us to react to that,
Yeah.
I'm learning about this too. So it's a growing process for me daily.
On our reactions.
But not react and see the bigger picture. They're figuring this out. There's a lot going on. Their emotions, their thoughts. It's a lot.
Yeah. And she's helping you guys grow too. So I always tell her, thank you for helping us learn how to be better. Right?
I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the perspective. You change it. Changes the whole way you look at that.
Yeah. And I think, when you were saying like you would like to hear something like that in the moment, I think that's something that over time, like when Noah was experiencing or even does now, the self-injury or moments that feel really hard, that when I see even just a glimpse of he's making an effort to calm down, I hear him take a deep breath. I try to acknowledge it and just be like, no, you're so strong. Like you're doing it. I know it's hard, but you're doing it. And then it almost like that's when you can start gradually coming down.
How powerful is that? Yeah. Instead of, why are you doing this? Why can't you stop? Or whatever, all the things that we might be thinking or might be saying, maybe even what's wrong with you or whatever it is. Or they're thinking that or feeling that, all those judgments, whether the parent is saying it or not, or just even the message that's coming through from the reaction, all of the things. But then you hear that message from your parent or from your caregiver or whoever that's just so powerful, I think. Acknowledging.
I didn't always do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I used to be like, no. Oh my God. Okay. Like just, a mess.
Yeah.
And it just made things way worse.
Yes.
But that's natural, right? That's natural. As a parent, you want to stop whatever. Yeah.
We see that it makes things worse, but we just keep doing that in that same cycle. It's very fascinating. Stop hitting. You've told them to stop hitting 1,000 times. They know to stop hitting. They're hitting. Why do you keep telling them? They already know. Let's try something else.
Yeah. And I still do it sometimes. I'll be real.
We're speaking from our own.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
I never yell. I'm very regulated 100% of the time.
We follow all of our training all the time. No, we don't.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's hard. Yeah. Parenting is hard.
It's hard.
Yes, for sure.
No matter what.
Tell us 3 things advice you'd give your younger self.
Oh, I don't know. Part of me feels like I don't know if I want to give myself any advice because I feel like all the hard stuff, I don't know if I would be who I am or where I am. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and I think of my younger self, like if I would say, you just have to walk through it. I would hear things like that and I'd be like, yeah. But to practice that is so different. So I don't even know if it would have made a difference for me.
I would say, like, you got this. I would tell myself, I would say, give myself a hug and say, you're going to be okay. Those are my advices, this encouragement. You got this. It's a lesson in whatever you're going to go through. It doesn't have to be the answer to an obstacle, right? I think for me, it's more
true.
Like you're not alone, that the feeling goes a long way.
But I appreciate what you're saying, Erin, because I think, I never thought about it that way, but that's true. Even that you're not alone. Like, oh, yeah, sure. Or,
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't really internalize those messages that now you've learned or that we've learned and figured out because of the hard time.
So maybe you felt alone and that feeling led you to something else, which gave you courage to then. So feeling alone probably was a problem that helped you grow in a certain way that led you to today.
Oh,
so maybe you needed to feel alone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And I do feel like that. Yeah. That I used to be like, oh, I regret doing this or I regret doing that or I should have done this. And I'm just like, that's not helpful because I did learn something from all of those moments. Like I was supposed to walk through them. Yeah.
And you can't change the past. That's as much as we would love to. We're right here.
Right.
Let it go. So what would you tell somebody interested or hesitant or thinking about joining kind of the spelling community?
I mean, I say go for it. I mean, you don't have anything to lose. You don't have anything to lose. Even if your child or young adult does have language, there's so many people that do have language, but it's not what they're feeling inside. So give your child opportunity, if you can. Mm-hmm. Push through whatever fears you have because you don't know until you try. Yeah.
It sounds like it kind of gets to their inner real authentic voice, like, because you just said sometimes they're saying stuff and it may not mean it or it may be conflicting with their body or what they're saying, but kind of this journey will help them share their subjective experience.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I like that you said it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to. Just give it a try. Yeah.
Why not? That's our motto here. Why not?
And even if it doesn't work out, you've made connections. You've challenged yourself and your child.
You had a family camp and made friends, which is awesome. Family camp.
Yeah.
I always said when I was younger, my sister was in Special Olympics and she was a year older than me, and I got involved in siblings, and we did Olympians and the non-Olympians, intramural, no, not intramural, unified sports. we did like bowling and volleyball and soccer and stuff, and then was coaching. And when we'd go to University of Maine for summer games for 5 days, and for the summer games, and just that feeling, that environment, that community was, I think it shaped me to what I am today. But there was nothing like it. Everybody was so nice, so helpful, no judgment, no, it was just the greatest environment you could possibly imagine. It was, and it sounds like you guys have that too. And it's just like, how do we bring that to more where we are today?
Well, yeah. Right? I mean, I would love to have a family camp of some sort. Spellers or not, everybody like that inclusive environment. I shared that with Julie. Maybe we all need to reconnect again. But that would be, how cool would that be? Right down the street, I have a spot in mind to have a family camp.
I'm here for it.
It's that inclusive, like you said, non-judgment environment where everybody can come together and just feel welcomed and supported and loved on, and just no matter what walk of life you're coming from, I think.
Why does it have to have extraordinary challenges to get to that environment? That's what I want to know. Why can't we all just be like that naturally?
Yeah.
That's such a good question. Mm-hmm. That's such a good question. Yeah. Because it does seem like it takes something more extreme like that for people to appreciate or just, not
somebody
be
getting cancer, even coming together to help support them. Why can't we just support them? But I think 9/11 brought us all together and as a country and that unified. But why did it take that to lead to that? Why can't we just have? I guess it takes challenge to grow, right? It's kind of the. I guess it takes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Something.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking out loud
Something
here.
to explore.
Thanks for listening.
No, I love it. I love stuff like that. Now I'm going to be thinking about that all day.
But I think it's our human nature just to get in the monotony of daily life, and taking things for granted until something big happens. But I think with practice and mindfulness and really focusing on that, you could bring that to your everyday life. It's just people, we're not choosing.
Intention to show up that way.
Yeah. Because I think we just get so habitual and so in our heads and our daily life that we're not practicing that gratitude and that just awareness for all the great things, all the great people, all the great connections.
I think a piece of it too is the helping others. There's nothing like that feeling of helping others. If you're depressed, you help somebody else and you feel better about yourself. So I think part of that is
so true.
Right?
Conversation for another podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, go down a whole rabbit hole. For sure.
Erin, where can people reach you or find out more information about spelling, and how can they hear your podcast? And
the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast. So we are advocating your podcast. Coming out soon.
It will be out
on May 1st.
May 1st.
May 1st.
Yeah.
So it's out.
May 1st on Spotify. And then also have a video version on YouTube. Both are at growingthroughautism.com.
Autism.
Oh God, sorry, I don't even know how to share them. But I have a website, growingthroughautism.com. But then on YouTube, Spotify, it's at Growing Through Autism. Same on Instagram. Yeah.
It's very exciting. So exciting.
And
thank you so much.
The spelling
spelling Autistically Inclined.
Okay,
yeah.
The website.
They have
Facebook page, all that. Okay.
Facebook page and Instagram as well.
If you need any support or if you get stuck anywhere, I do the editing, and we've tried the different things, and it's a process. I don't know if you have somebody doing that for you, but that would be cool if you do. But if you don't, happy to help with anything challenges you get stuck on or the tools that we
appreciate
use.
That.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll definitely reach out because I'm going to need help. Yeah.
You've experienced all the challenges with technology that you can imagine.
Think of it like a positive session you do. Take the pressure off. It's going to be way better, right? We have no expectations of things, but when it happens, it's exciting. But take the pressure off. You're going to be great, and it'll be fun. Anything new takes getting used to it, but cool.
Yeah. Well, we're excited for you and your new journey. I can't wait to listen in.
Well, thanks, Erin. This has been awesome. Yeah. Good luck to you. Keep us updated on how your journey goes, and give all your best to your family.
Thank you.
Tell Noah I say hi.
Oh, I will. He'll be so happy and jealous. I know. He loves Catherine.
Yeah, and give a hug to Julie when next time you see her. We miss her too. She's awesome.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Erin.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah.
Bye. Bye.